welcome to Who Knows, episode 6.
Who knows what we're gonna talk about today?
Yeah, I know. So we were just talking about it. It's been a little bit of time since we recorded one. You guys don't know that because we release once a week, but we have moved house. It's been a crazy
there's
ride.
been so much happening since we've
Yeah.
recorded. It's insane. We've moved. We've had so many renovations done. We've started our own little businesses. It's been like insane. Yeah, but it's finally calming down. So it's nice to be able to sit down and just have a talk.
Yeah.
Without there being machinery or people coming in and out all the time. So
Yeah, the whole point of us renovating this house was that it was going to be done before we moved in, but it wasn't.
yeah.
It was a lot of things left, and I mean, it's luxury problems really, but to live in a house where you have people knocking on the door 8 a.m. every morning, and then till 5:30, and they work 7 days a week here, but we actually said no, Sundays, no, we need one day a week where we can just have no workers here. But now the house is done, and we are getting back in routine again.
Yeah.
Yes. Emilio was the other week, Mom, we have a home finally.
Yeah, I mean, we all keep having these, like, just stop and look at the house and just, like, take it in, because it's been such chaos and complications, and the builders didn't understand, and just too much, like, drama and bullshit, and, like, just too much everything happening. And then now we can just, like, sit back and look at our house and be like, wow, it's actually, like, everything's working, everything looks nice, it's all good. So we all keep having just these, like, breathers now, and they're nice.
Yeah, it's easier now to step into being grateful.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I miss that. It's been just too many problems.
Just too much everything. It's like...
And I realized, I think it's probably easier to build a brand new house than renovating an old one. Because problems keep popping up, and in Bali it rains a lot.
Yeah.
Now we just stepped out of the rainy season, but when the sky's opening every night almost, and maybe an hour a day, and then the roof is leaking and the walls are coming in water. It's been a challenge, and we learned a lot, but I'm so happy we're over it.
Yeah, it's very nice.
And tell me, you've decided to open an Etsy store.
Well, I've been struggling for the past however long, I don't even know for how long, trying to figure out, like, some form of work, because I have to work online, because I'm not legally allowed to work a physical job here in Bali, because I'm not Indonesian. But since I have to do something online, it's been kind of complicated, because it's so overwhelming, the amount of things you can do online, and it's been weird, because I'm not good with numbers, and I feel like a lot of jobs require that, and other jobs it's like, yeah, like, I could do them, but also I don't want to, like, actually hate the thing that I'm doing. Like, I want to have some form of enjoyment in it. So you actually came up with the idea of the Etsy shop, and just kind of making digital products. For now, maybe in the future I'll do physical products.
Yeah, because you're so artistic anyway in
Yeah,
your drawing, so I thought
because I always wanted some form of work to incorporate my creative side, because it is the part that I enjoy the most about me, I guess. And I feel like if I can't let it out, I go a bit insane. That's why I do my weird, crazy makeup looks and creepy things. So yeah, no, it's nice to have a good, like, balance between, it's work, it's boring, but at the same time, like, I get to be creative and have fun with it. So yeah, But you've been working on a lot of things yourself too. You got your own little newsletter going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were a little bit in the same boat, me and you, I think, because I wanted to start a new chapter, and so did you. So brainstorming and just like you, not doing anything just because I need to do it, but something that feels creative and a win-win.
Yeah.
So I'm writing now, which I've always been writing my entire life. Since I was 7, I think I got my first journal, and then it's like an outlet for me. It's almost like therapy. And also I love just going back and look, from the day you were born or whatever, what did I write? And because we forget, or I forget.
Yeah.
But it's fun. So, but we put it, now we have the website ready, which is awakeandunite.com, which is a beautiful domain name. I think that I bought that domain name, 10 years ago, and it's just been lying on the shelf and waiting. Because me and Dad were like, what are we going to do with this? We can't let it go, it's too good. So we've been renewing it each year. But now the podcast is there, and then my newsletter as well. And then you can find Emilou's Etsy shop in the description here, which it's, you're building it, so
it's a slow start, but we'll see.
It's going to be amazing.
I get done.
The thing is, we both said, because we kind of started at the same time almost, to give this Monday to Friday, hours every day for 6 months.
Yeah.
Because after 6 months, you normally know, is this something that works or I feel good doing? And
and it's also good just putting that like timestamp of commitment in your head, because otherwise if you don't have, or like at least for me, if I don't have that timestamp, then it's a lot harder to stay committed to it, because I could just be like, oh, this isn't working out, my brain will just want to give up. But then if I continue and I'm like, okay, no, we're going to continue for 6 months and see how it goes, and then it's just kind of like giving my brain that little boost that it needs, because it sure needs it.
Good. I think it's good, because then working with, because when you watch videos about, let's start an Etsy shop, and I thought, I'm going to start one as well, and then I thought, that's a lot of work, because people think, we do some stuff and sell on Etsy, but it's so much more, and you're actually starting your own little business, because it's numbers, which you need to learn as well, how to keep track of things, and so it's it's good. I'm happy I could find something that you like. I came up, let's talk about this a little bit, how to give advice. Because as parents, we obviously have more experience and more life and work experience, and we've been, going through obstacles and making mistakes and learning, and watching you and being 18, and it's not easy to give advice, but how do you think, let's say I ask you first, because I came up with a conclusion maybe a little bit late in your life, but I know how I do it now, but let's see what you say.
For starters, I say don't give advice unless it's asked for, because you can try help someone as much as you want, but if they don't want help, then it's not going to do anything, so you need to at least kind of, like, you don't need them to say, hey, like, I need your advice on this, but just see if they have like some sort of like a little open door into the idea of the advice, if that makes sense. And then it depends on the person, on how the situation, the topic, on how you approach them and say the advice, I think. But what were you gonna say?
No, what I came to the conclusion with, I heard it somewhere, it's not too long ago, maybe 6 months ago, which I thought, ooh, this was a good one. And it's so easy. And I think I've incorporated it a little bit long before I heard it. But instead of saying, oh, this is the way I think, or this is, the, coming from my point of view or from my life experiences right away, is to ask you, do you want me to listen or do you want my advice?
Yeah.
And then most of the time, I think, being young or teenagers, they just want you to listen.
Yeah.
So I've started to ask you that, but you've actually wanted to hear my point of view.
Yeah, and
well.
I mean, like, that way of thinking, like that asking whether they want just some support or if they want some actual guidance is a very useful thing to have, not just for advice, but just if someone's struggling with mental health, or if some people have difficulties communicating their feelings, and you could just kind of, I've known this trick for a while, and it is very useful for sure, because a lot of the time in the situation where you are talking to someone and they ask, oh, do you need advice or support, in that situation you're not fully 100% sure what you want, so that like question just being put out there is like, oh wait, hold on, what do I want? Like, do I want someone to listen or do I want advice? And yeah, I just love that question. But yeah, I mean, I've come to realize that the things about being a teenager and thinking you know everything was in fact true.
Yeah. Please explain.
That as I've grown older, I've realized, hey, you don't know everything. You're actually a little stupid in some areas, so maybe reach out to some other people. So yeah, I've been doing that. And yeah, it's also the reason why, see, this might sound like the teenager side of me coming out, but the reason why I've been so against other people's help and advice in the past is because people don't understand the way that my brain works.
Of course they don't.
No. So that's why, like, if someone gives me advice that works for them, yeah, cool, it works for you, but that I physically can't do that because that's not how my brain is wired, you know? So that's why, I don't know if that's the teenage side of me, if that's the logical side of me coming out saying that, but...
A bit of both, maybe?
Maybe. But, yeah, I've come to the age of being able to put my ego aside and just listen to some advice.
Mm-hmm. That's very welcoming.
But it's only accepted when it's welcomed.
Yeah, of course. But when it comes to giving advice or asking that question, it's also quite freeing as well, because if you ask somebody that is in a tough situation or sad, it doesn't matter which situation it is actually, but if you ask, do you want me to listen and be here for you, or do you want my advice? And if the person says no, just be here, then it's quite freeing for the one that is just there as well, because then you can just truly be there and truly listen, and there's no, oh, I need to fix this because I'm very solution focused in my mind. I can just let everything go and just sit there and be there and listen. I don't need to fix anything. I don't need to give any advice. I just, so it works really good both ways, I feel.
Yeah, it puts kind of the pressure off of like needing to find a solution when they just ask for
or come up with an advice support, or that you might not even have for the situation and that person in.
And I mean, in the cases where you don't have advice for someone, it's okay to just say, you know what, I don't really know what to say, and kind of explain, hey, I don't have any advice, but I'm here for you and I'll support you. And, you know, it's very okay to just say, hey, I don't know. Like, it's not something you should be ashamed of, to not know something all the time, you know?
Oh, it's funny you say. It's good for you, I think.
What?
No, it's really good of you, not good for you, good of you to be that transparent and say that I just realized I don't know everything.
Yeah. I mean, I feel that's a thing that not only teenagers need to learn, that everyone needs to learn, because I feel like a lot of people just kind of try to either fake their way or like bullshit their way through things, or just lie their way through things, when in reality it's okay to just say, hey, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, it's so simple to just say, hey, I don't know. It's like, I don't get why there's so much shame.
I think most people feel like if they say, oh, I don't know, that it's like they are even worth less a little bit, or stupid, or it's like me when we moved to Spain. I was going Dad was saying, when they were talking Spanish to me, and I didn't know a word of Spanish when we moved to Spain, and some neighbor was saying something in Spanish because they didn't speak a word of English, and the only thing I could say was like see. And Dad was saying, do you know what you just said yes to? And I was just like, no, but I was just smiling, going see, because I wanted the connection, and the connection with the people and learning. So I was just saying yes to everything in the beginning.
Yeah. But I see there's almost sort of like a strength to being able to say, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because like you just said, like, a lot of people think that if I say that I don't know something about this topic, then I'll sound stupid, or like I don't know anything, or da. And at least in my opinion, like, being able to say I don't know is just kind of surrendering to that situation and being like, you know what, I don't know, like, I just don't know. Oops, I hit the mic. But it's just like kind of that, like, it's okay to not know. Like, you don't need to know everything all the time. You're a tiny little person on this floating rock in the middle of a beach on another floating rock with tons of beaches. So it's like, it's okay that you don't know.
Yeah. The difficult thing with advice, though, because I need to tell you that Emilou turned 18 not so long ago, and she loves tattoos.
Before you continue, I just want to give some context that I got a fresh tattoo on my forearm/hand a couple days ago. Continue. I just needed to give that context.
Yeah. I mean, both me and Dad's got tattoos, but it's not in places where anybody knows or sees them, really. Dad's got upper arm and I got shoulder blades, and anyway. So when we gave you that tattoo when we first came to Bali on your hip, we thought, because you were so devastated at the time, it was lockdown, we've taken you from your friends in Spain, we just gave in basically to that tattoo. But we also made a deal that you weren't going to do any more tattoos until you were 18.
No, that wasn't the deal. We decided that I would get one tattoo per year.
Oh, true.
Until I was 18, and then when I was 18, I could get as many as I want.
Well, when you're 18, we got no say anymore. Yeah. So back to giving advice, because even though you say now that you realize that you don't know everything, and me and Dad don't know everything either, but for us to have tattoos in places that you will always see and the world will always see, maybe start somewhere else on your body. But now Emily has done her more than half of her lower arm and all the way on her upper hand.
It's my entire hand and half my forearm, basically.
Yep.
Which is unprofessional, but I like it.
Why do you say it's unprofessional?
Because anyone will say that you will never be able to get an in-person job now, because I have...
In-person?
Like a physical job, not an online job. Because face tattoos and hand tattoos are very, like, they are big no-nos in the working environment, depending on where you work, of course. Like, if you're a bartender or something like that, then it doesn't matter. But if you work in, like, a fancy office or something, then hand tattoos and face tattoos are big no-nos, because people, like, how do you say, like, people connect them with, I guess, like, gangsters or, like, prisoners or whatever.
But that, now you sound like me, darling. And then when I have said that, you have always said, but Mom, that's Stone Age thinking. It's not like that anymore.
You do not say that. You say that people with tattoos, especially, like, very exaggerated tattoos, like covering their whole face or something like that, like, that they are very insecure people. That's what you have said.
Complete misunderstanding about the facial tattoo. So I didn't, when we were talking about insecurity, then, because I read somewhere with the people that do these really big ear, I mean, they stretch their ears into, like, tribal, but anyway, back to the tattoos. So having the one that you have on your hand, when you went, was it 2-3 days ago you did it?
It was...
I almost cried when you had left, because I said to Dad, I should have taken photos of her hands, because it's never going to be the same again. But it's actually a beautiful tattoo. I hope you're going to enjoy it the rest of your life, so you don't regret it. But thank God for makeup, because if you ever need to cover it up, there's always makeup.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But to give advice, now when you're 18, I mean, you're going to do what you're going to do. I can't rule over your body.
But what was the point of bringing up all the tattoos with advice? I feel like you had a reasoning to.
Me and Dad have advised you not to do it on your hand. Yeah. Like, start on, you have your whole body except your hip.
Yeah, but it's nice to be able to see them. Like, that's why I feel like after I've gotten this one, I'm not going to feel like I want to get a tattoo for a while, because I can see this one all the time. Mm-hmm. The ones that I do have, it's like on my back, bottom of my feet, like around my ribs. It's like I can't see them all the time. So it doesn't, like, give that, like, I guess, like, satisfaction, you know? Yeah. But this, I've always known, or, like, at least my teenage years, I've always known that I always love tattoos, and I think I will. And that at least my intuition is telling me that I will be covered from head to toe. You're rolling your eyes. But I've told you this for many years now. And, I mean, to me, tattoos, it's art. You're customizing your character. You know, it's not a big deal in my head, but you are from a different generation. Mm-hmm. So in your mind, it's a very big deal, but in my generation, we're more laid back with tattoos.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, it's... you walk around here where it's warm all the time, and you see there's very few people...
without tattoos.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's lots and lots of tattoos these days.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of taste, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's just art. For other people, it's like, oh, you fucking gangster, like, it.
No, I don't feel that anymore. Well, I don't.
Like grandpa.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe that's a different generation again,
Exactly.
which is
But
is
they're still
and
here.
different cultures.
Yeah.
Different cultures, different countries. That's it's a different thing, but I do believe we talked about creativity before. Do you think social media influences how we create and?
Yes, 100%. Because if you look back into like hundreds of years ago, like medieval times, or like when the Romans were a thing and things like that. I mean, not that there's not Romans anymore, but you know what I mean. Like all the art then, like for example, the one that I have in my bedroom, it's Ivan the Terrible and his son. Look that painting up. It's a beautiful painting. I love it so much, and I have.
Say what it's called again.
Ivan the Terrible and his son. Like when you look at those types of paintings, and also all the sculptures that they used to have and things like that, like it is so, like it's on such a different level on what the art that is considered art today. Like the art today, it has evolved into a very simplified form of art. I feel like everything is more instead of spending like 20 hours on a like 10 by 10 centimeter square of details, it's more like let's splash something here and have a little stripe of yellow there, you know. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's so many artists that are incredibly talented and
mind-blowing ones,
do so much work. It's insane. I don't get how they do it. But at the same time, the majority of the art now and the majority of the art that was like in Victorian areas and things, there's a big quality difference, I feel. And I feel that social media and the internet has a very big influence in that, because social media is kind of made to dumb down your brain, I feel. Like, even looking at, like, childhood cartoons, like, I'm looking at the new, childhood cartoons that were popular at my age, and I'm looking at the renewed versions of them now. It's so, like, completely different cartoons, basically. Like, the SpongeBob my age was this little cartoon guy. Now it's, like, this 3D guy with, like, all these things. And it's, like, everything creatively, I feel like it's just moving to this more simplified thing for many reasons, I feel. There's a big, I think there's a big, like, story, or not story, but, like, reasoning behind it with agenda and things like that. But, yeah, to sum it up, yes, I do think social media has a big,
influence.
Yeah, and a very big influence in how we express ourselves creatively. And also just because with social media, we get to see so much of the world instead of what's just in front of us with our eyes. So, like, we get to hear about all these terrible things and all these beautiful things, and that kind of kicks in certain areas in your brain where it's like, oh, let's do this, that. Whereas if you didn't have that and you could just go outside and look at this beautiful tree or this flower, then your art would be a lot more complex, I feel.
Do you like the NFT creative space?
No. I mean, not that I don't like it, I just don't think I get it. Like, I've never fully understood NFTs, mostly because I've never really spent time into looking into NFTs. All I really know, it's like it's got something related to crypto, and it's like something related to the metaverse, and like just little connections here and there. But you're talking about the artworks. I don't know. Some of them are really cool that I've seen, and others are like a 4-year-old could do this. So
but just pixely.
So it really depends. But art is art. Like, you can't judge art. You can't do art right or wrong.
Which is really tricky.
What do you mean?
Because it's like, how can you be an art critic when you can't criticize art?
Well, I've always thought that art critics are just assholes that get paid for it. Because it's like, that's your opinion. But it's like somebody else could come in here with the exact same job and the exact same, like, pen and little notepad that you got and be like, no, this is literally the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life, where you said, oh, this is absolute garbage. Like, I've never understood art critics. It's like, you can't judge art. You can't do it right or wrong. That's why I didn't like going to art class in school, because they would always say, no, you did this wrong, and it's like, no, I'm doing
it my way.
Yeah, this is my painting, this is my art. Yeah. It's my painting, it's my art. I wanted to do it this way, so it's the right way to do it. You don't get to tell me how to do my art. Like, that's just...
No, that's a little bit, yeah.
It's crazy. It's like if I was coming...
But it's amazing to have an art teacher,
yes,
though. Because you remember we had classes with Sarah Fitzgerald in Spain. And, learning how to... Just colors, how they go together, and how to mix them, and
learning the techniques to be able to use to do your art
way.
100% agree. But when there's someone like over your shoulder being like, no, that's not the right way to do it. It's like, no, fuck off.
Yeah. All right, so. The creative part is interesting, I find, and with the social media, and now with AI stepping in.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about the AI art, because part of me is like, some of it's so gorgeous, but at the same time I'm like, dude, it's just a machine doing it. So it's like, can it count as art if it's a machine? I'm not
sure. I really.
That's what I mean. I'm very 50-50
I mean, it's you
telling
it, so you have to prompt it to do it, or command it to do something, but still you can just write a sentence and it does it for you. So I agree with that. It's cheating. It is cheating. But what comes out, the little I've seen, I haven't seen a lot, but it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean,
but is it creative? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but still you have to have.
Yeah, but you could just have an idea and then type it into this program. And like, for example, I want a bumblebee on top of a palm tree drinking a milkshake. Mm-hmm. Type that sentence in and you have the thing. So like, all you need is an idea.
Yep.
You don't need any skill. You don't need
No, but you probably have a picture, because well, we're very different that way, everybody. I know that, but I know you can see pictures very good as well. So if you say, I want a bumblebee on top of a palm tree drinking a milkshake, you have a visual of what that would look like before you put it in, probably.
Yeah.
And then a picture comes up that AI made for you, but it's not correct. So you say, no, I want the sun coming from that direction.
Yeah, no,
and the light and the palm tree should be greener and the bumblebee should be pink.
It takes some direction for sure, but it doesn't take
It's still not you doing
skill.
It. No, I know. I know.
So I'm very 50-50.
No, I'm a little bit confused, but it's here to stay. So I mean, it's going so fast at the moment, but it is. It's creative process with all this AI in one way, but in one way it's completely cheating.
But that's like AI, I just connected the two, like the thing that I mentioned about how art is slowly becoming more simplified and air quotes, like...
Yeah, that's what I thought that you were going to talk about when you said it's becoming more simplified.
Yeah, I feel like it's just we're on this like journey to becoming less and less creative, sadly. Because, I mean,
yeah, it's becoming lazier.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, we're just approaching like Wall-E, basically.
Yeah.
But
what was that movie called? Was it Wall-E?
Wall-E.
Oh, it was called Wall-E.
Yeah.
And what was the other? Eve. Oh, yeah,
Eva.
yeah. I remember Eva.
Yeah, but like AI art is very in line with that, like art becoming so simplified and just kind of dumbing us down. It's just here, type a few buttons and boom, you're Picasso. It's like,
yeah,
no, that's not what art is. But at the same time, you can't say what art is. So it's like it's such
I know. Oh,
yeah.
It's fun though. I just wanted to, before we wrap up, about advice, because if you could say maybe 2 things that teenage parents that you say, don't come with this advice, we won't listen, or like just maybe a common one or mistake that me and Dad have done, or that you've heard in your space that parents come with this kind of advice. And
I mean, I would say I don't know exactly what advice you should and shouldn't come with, because that's depends on the situation and the person and everything like that.
on one in general.
But I will say that thing that we started with the, if your kid is upset or having difficulties with something, that question of, do you want just some support or do you want advice? That is such a good question, and I think...
No, but that wasn't my question though. Because we do give advice all the time. I do, Dad do. Without...
Does.
What?
You said Dad do.
Dad do. Do.
Dad does.
Well, he do.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
You know, what advice is like a no-go? If you can think of any. Maybe that's a hard question.
What advice is a no-go? Like something that like some advice you've given to me where I'm like, absolutely fucking not, or like...
Yeah. No need to curse.
Yeah, there is a need. It's just a word. I don't know. I mean, I can't really like come up with an example on the spot, but I would just say, like, to the parents listening, just before you go and give your advice, try to like see in what kind of mental state your kid is in before giving that advice, because I feel like advice also, it has a lot to do with, or not a lot to do, but part of it is you want to say something kind of for your own pleasure, you know? Like, you're just getting it out there so that you can feel like you've done something right, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in the other end, what you did that felt right to you could feel absolutely horrible in the other end. So just kind of put your ego aside and think, will this advice help in this situation? Will it be taken the way I think it will be taken? Or like, just put yourself in the other person's shoes, read the room, think about it for a second, and don't just blurt it out of nowhere. That would be my advice to parents.
Okay. Good one. Normally when I hear you say that as well, normally maybe we come from a point of view where we might want to give advice, but it sounds like more of an order. It's like not advice, it's more like do or don't.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing with advice is you have to word it and phrase it in body language and energy in a way where it's not like you're doing everything wrong, this is the right way to do it.
Yeah.
Like, you need to listen to me to get shit, like, better. Like, you need to phrase it in a way where it's like, hey, what you're doing right now is okay, but there's this other thing that could be a little better for you, but it's your choice to either choose that or not. But I'm just putting it out here for you to listen and think about, instead of being like, this is right, listen to me, like da 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 da, like that. I feel like anyone would take that very like, who do you think you are? Like, you think you know everything? It's like, no. So phrasing and energy and the way you say things matters a lot when you're giving it or taking advice. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I agree, it can come off as very like, do this is good, instead of actually what advice is supposed to be, whereas it's supposed to be kind of like a offer of help, you know. Instead, it's becoming this order.
Sometimes it is like that, sometimes not.
Yeah. I'm just speaking on, on average.
Yeah,
yeah.
In general. Yeah. Good one.
Do you have any advice to give to teenagers?
Listen to them all. Follow your parents. No.
But is there any way that like I've reacted to advice that you were like, that wasn't cool, man?
Well, basically you think you know best. You just said it, you just realized it now, but you're 18 now, so maybe I mean, the coins are falling into the right place. Basically, it takes a while, but you've been very smart along the way. You've been such an easy teenager to have around, so we have been so blessed, which I pat myself a little bit on the shoulder, and Dad as well, of course, the way we have helped raise you. And
but for parents and kids who have
difficulties,
are in a little tougher situation.
I would say, I mean, like to the parents, I would just say, I wish I would have said this earlier to the boys as well, our twin boys, but do you want me to listen or do you want my feedback or advice? That's the first sentence. But when it comes to telling teenagers what to do and what not to do, it's tricky. But sometimes we need to learn how to compromise in a family.
Yeah.
And whether that be picking up your clothes off the floor, because I think it's disrespectful to your clothes, having them live on your floor instead of hangers or in your drawers. It's a work in progress until it's your floor and your house.
And I mean, with compromise, you need a lot of communication, so you both feel like you get something out of it, because that's what a compromise is. You meet in the middle.
For sure.
You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, just communication can be very hard, and it can be scary to get into, especially with your parents. But just take it light, take it easy. If it feels like it's too much, it's okay to just take a break or put it aside for a while. Just take small steps. Don't force it. Don't get heated. Just take it slow. Take it easy. If it doesn't feel right.
It's tricky with communication during a few years there.
Yeah.
Because everything normally the parents say is like rolling the eyes and it's just boring, and I'm generalizing, but I hear it from a lot of parents saying, what happened to my girl or my son that overnight she just turned into a monster. And it is, no, I'm just saying, I don't mean you now, but I hear it from other, especially with girls. But I think we forget as well as parents that teenage years is like, can be really tricky to go through. I don't want to do it again with all the hormones and everything, and the world what has been going on as well the last few years. But yeah, compromising and changing. For me, it's been changing my tone of voice sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's the same words, but when it comes out in a smooth way and more from the heart than my head, then it lands in your lap in a totally different way.
Because tone of voice is so important, and body language, and just overall energy that you're coming with whatever you want to say. Because you could be like, do your dishes, which is like everyone's no, but I'm just like
an example.
As an example, like you've never done this, of course, but you could be like, do your dishes. Anyone that gets told that is going to be like, what, no, like their defense is going to immediately pop up. If you're like, hey, can you please do your dishes, like then it's like, oh, okay, like it's not a fight that we're getting into, it's dishes, you know. So tone of voice matters so much when you're communicating, especially in between parents and kids. And you mentioned this thing with parents feeling or like seeing that their kids are like rolling their eyes and just like, oh, whatever, like, and I feel like kids feel the same way. I feel like kids and teenagers, when we communicate to our parents, sometimes we can feel like, oh, but they don't care, they're not listening, they just want to get on with their work, like, so it's weird because parents and kids were kind of both in the same situation when it comes to that. But I mean, like I said, I would just take it easy, take it slow, have an open mind. Have an open mind. That is very important. Even if you don't agree with something, you don't have to agree with something, but just listen to it and really take it in instead of just listening with your ears. Listen with your heart and your mind. But just take it slow. Take it easy.
Slow steps, baby steps. Yeah. Good one. Oh God, time has flown today.
Been going for a while.
I know.
But it's been so long. So I know. It was nice.
We missed it, both of us, I think. It's so lovely. We're back on track and routine again in this new house.
Yeah.
So thank you for being here. It means the world to us. And now we have turned on the comments. We made a mistake on the first two, or first three, I can't remember. But please comment, and if there's any topic that you would like us to speak about or bring up, just bring it on, and we will challenge us and comment. That would be amazing. So thank you for being here, and see you